Well, good morning, Redeemer Bible Church. My name is Jason Stinson. I am the worship pastor here at the church. This is the Daily Word, and today we are looking at John chapter 8. And so John chapter 8 is an awesome chapter. It's interesting. There's so much, again, to be able to say here. It starts out interesting in the sense that verses 1 through 11 has this story about a woman caught in adultery. It's a popular story, but these verses actually aren't included in any of kind of the real early manuscripts, and they don't include this content in the book of John. And so you kind of, I'm going to let you guys read that. There's nothing in there that's like would be against who Jesus is or any of that. And it's an interesting thing that I just kind of throw that in there. But if you look at starting at verse 12, you see that it kind of lines up perfectly with where chapter 7 left. And so it says, again, Jesus spoke to them. So at the Feast of Booths, and now Jesus is speaking. And then from basically here, from verse 12, all the way till I would say, verse 30, we have a lot more of the same thing that we've seen in the other chapters of Jesus solidifying who he is as the Messiah. And so here we have the second I am statement where Jesus says that I am the light of the world. And whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So there's this direct claim of him being the Messiah. And of course, they don't understand what he's saying. They say that he's not true, and he says that he is true, and he goes on to say a lot of the same things that he said back in chapter 7, repeating himself to them, and they're just not understanding him at all. And so because they don't understand, starting at verse 21, what we see here is that Jesus now reveals the consequence of their rejection of him as the Messiah. And so he, starting at verse 21, he said to them again, I am going away, and you will seek me, and you will die in your sin. And then in verse 24, he says, I told you that you would die in your sins, for unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. And so what do they say to that? They just say, well, who are you? And so now he reveals to them the consequences of their rejection of him as God and him as Christ. And so, him as deity, him as God. When they reject that and all that he's been telling them of who he is, that rejection will mean that they will die in their sins. And so then it's starting at verse 31, and then basically all the way through the end of the chapter, we have kind of an understanding. Jesus, I said my own name there. Jesus basically shows us an understanding of what genuine salvation looks like. And then, as I've been saying in chapter 6 and chapter 7 and now in chapter 8, that really it is not, it was the words of Jesus that really upset people. It wasn't what he did, it was what he said. And so over and over and over again now through the rest of this chapter, you see Jesus making an emphasis on his words and the understanding of his words and trusting in his words and trusting in who he says that he is, the word of who he says he is, as those that are genuinely saved. And so right off the bat here, I'm not going to read through all of this, but I just want to try to drive in this point here that it is the words of Jesus that really upsets the Jews here and still upsets people today. And so he says here that of genuine salvation, starting in verse 31, so Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So a very popular Bible verse there, but that is genuine saving faith is those that abide in his word. They are the ones that are true disciples. And so he goes on, and as you read through this, you see here, verse 33, that it is because you cannot bear to hear my word that you don't believe. And 45, but because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. He tells them the truth of his word and they don't believe him. And then 47, whoever is of God hears the words of God. And so in contrast to that, he goes on to say, the reason why you do not hear them is that you are not of God. And he makes this claim as they're trying to, they're self-righteous, really. The Jews are self-righteous, and they're trying to claim the name of Abraham as their righteousness, as because he is their father. And so Jesus basically says, because you don't understand my words and because you do not understand what I'm telling you, that your father is the devil. And so the reason you do not hear them is that you are not of God. And so that's just an incredibly bold statement to them, that that their father is the devil. And so here it goes on, that at Christ, this I am statement, he says, I am the light of the world. And then verse 51, he says, truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death. So again, it's keeping my word, abiding in my word. It's all about my word. And this continues to just anger and divide the Jews against him. And so finally, I think in this chapter here, kind of the almost one of the final straws that really, really sets them off, that make them want to kill Jesus, is the I am statement that comes at verse 58, where Jesus said to them that truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. And so they were trying to claim through their own self-righteousness that they were, right, and that they were true because their father Abraham. And now Jesus is making this statement that even before Abraham was, I am. So he is basically claiming and telling them that he is Yahweh, that he is the Lord, all capital Lord, of the Old Testament. And of course, the Jews know that anybody that would say that they are God, that they would want to kill that. They need to kill that person, and they need to. So right here it says, so they picked up stones to throw at him. And then again, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. So Jesus, we don't know how he did that, how he got away, but we realize, again, the divine, sovereign timeline of God here. And that it was not Jesus' time. So the Lord, the Father has spared the Son for now against the Jews wanting to kill him. But just a fascinating chapter. I would say it's for sure. I'm just saying some things about it and not everything about it. There's so much. The riches of this are just beyond anything that I can do in a short, 8 or 9 minute video. So I just really want us to grab the emphasis of Jesus and his word. And the ones who have genuine faith are the ones that abide in his word. And that is the daily word for today. So we will see you tomorrow when we look at John chapter 9. Have a great day.